the parents came to appeal for their children, the murderous mayor of Daraa said to them, forget that you ever had children. Go back to your wives and procreate others. Forget about those. That is what sparked this revolution. This was a peaceful revolution that wanted dignity and humanity, but this regime does not understand the language of dignity and humanity, and that's why it must be removed. Just because I'm having these discussions every single day, where people are coming up to me and saying, how can you justify this revolution? The Americans are agreeing with you. The Americans in the West, if they had it their way, they would keep Mubarak forever. They would keep Ben Ali forever. They would keep Assad forever if they had it their way. But now the people have spoken and they have forced the arm of the West to speak their language. The West is not agreeing with the people because it wants to, because it has to. That's why. The stand of the West is non-ethical. It's not moral, otherwise they would have spoken during the times of Hamad. We welcome their stand now, but because we know that they are forced to take the ethical and the rightful stand. This stand is the people's stand, not the American stand, not the British stand, not the French stand. It's the people of Syria's stand, and that's what we must bear in mind. And for those who say to me, Syria supports Palestine, I say, you are so misguided. When could the regime that brutalizes its own free the Palestinian people? When can a regime and a government that brutalizes, humiliates its own, bring dignity and humility and honor to Palestine? Never. Syria, as well as a number of other regimes, use Palestine as its trump card to survive, to gain favor. Never did it support Palestine. And I say to them, and I say to every single one who still believes in that lie, I say, then listen to the Palestinian people, because they know better than me and better than you. And they have supported the people of Syria in their revolution and in their pursuit to change their regime. And about Iran. I personally, all of you know, and this may upset some of you, all of you know, I have campaigned for years and still campaign against any thinking or planning to attack Iran militarily. I think it would be a disaster not only for Iran and the Iranian people, but for the entire region. However, I say from this place, from this mosque, to all my friends, shame on Iran, shame on Iran, shame on every single country that has extended support to the Syrian regime and allowed it to brutalize and kill further of the Syrian people. Shame, shame on Iran. Shame. And finally, I say this. Those of you who argue, and just outside someone was asking me about the Syrian National Council and about various other setups that have emerged over the past months. I say this. I say that I endorse the revolution. I endorse the people of Syria. I am behind them 100%. Every one of us is behind them 100%. When the moment of victory will come, and it will come inshallah very soon, they will decide who represents them. Up until then, yes, we put our trust, our support, and continue to monitor the efforts of the SNC, because they are the platform recognized by the Syrian revolution. But when the moment comes, it will be down to those brave men, women, children, and the elderly in the towns and cities of Syria to decide what their future is like. They will decide, and they will have the last word. And on the issue of arms, I say this. The revolution in the Arab Spring was a peaceful movement, and that is where it got its strength, because it was peaceful. And the Syrian people tried. God knows they tried. For months and months and months they tried. However, we have come to a point where we face, as Toby said, another Bosnia, and we can't afford to do that. And therefore I say to those who continue to pursue this line, that it must stay peaceful, I say to them, if we accept and allow that the regime that oppresses the revolution to be armed, then we must allow and accept that the people defending themselves must also be armed. Brothers and sisters, Assad will fall. His regime will fall. They will. And we will see it, inshallah. Inshallah. We will see it. And we're praying. We will be praying in a minute, and we will make dua for them to fall sooner rather than later. But I say this. We are at a moment of time where we have to check inside our hearts whether we've done enough. Whether we're doing enough. It's not just sufficient to watch the news and say, yes, I am with the revolution. We have to act. We have to speak out. We have to give. We have to offer. We have to sacrifice. As they are sacrificing the most dearest of things to them, we also need to sacrifice. Otherwise, history and Allah, before and after, will judge us on our intentions and our actions. And I say to you this. Do you know that over the past few weeks, the city of Homs is being bombarded day and night? Do you know that in Homs lies the graves of 400 companions, Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ? The largest area after Al-Baqi' and Al-Medina where the Sahaba lie. How can we stay quiet as this crime goes on? How can we stay quiet? How can we sleep at night? How can we rest our heads on our pillows when our brothers and sisters are suffering what they are? Time has come to speak out. Time has come to speak to all our friends who disagree with us and say, enough is enough. Now we're talking with the currency of blood. People are shedding their blood, and there is no more place for politics. Now we must speak out and we must say, we are with right against wrong. We are the people against the tyrant. We are with the people for Syria, for the future of Syria, against the tyrant and the brutal dictator of Syria. Jazakumullah khair wa salamu alaykum. Thank you, Anna.